In life there are rainy days and sunny days. Without rain, nothing would get what it needs to feed. And without the sun, nothing would get the energy to grow. When there is no rain, everything would dry and burn up. And without the sun, there would be nothing to grow too. And when these things are out of balance, things don't necessarily work out exactly as planned. This is a story about our days and our growth. It's time to acknowledge the rain and the sun as it exposes our own mental capacities. For every curse is a gift in disguise, and the longer we stay ignorant to the battle of our mental health, the longer we suffer. This is MacTavish. This is us. For the truth comes from within before it goes without. I had an opportunity to talk to my good friend Tyler MacTavish about addiction. Tyler is addicted to opioids, and he's stuck in a cycle where his goal is to get his fix every day. What I'm offering is a glimpse into his life and how every day goes by and thoughts that go through his head. I'm hoping you'll take the time to listen to this and maybe reflect on someone you know, or maybe even yourself. Well, anyways, this is what it's like.
It's kind of hard to say in a way. Like, I mean, the last couple of weeks, it's been like the last couple of years almost, or last year, right? It's like every day is the same thing. It's like I go through a routine, and the routine is, making sure I get my fix. But then it's like going beyond that routine, I find myself stuck, like even meeting up with friends or like doing things, because like, I just, well, I mean, I guess I've really isolated now in a sense, because I don't feel authentic at all in a way, like even though I am myself for the most part, I'm not who I could be or whatever. Like, I'm not letting light shine forth, or, putting myself out there, because I'm, suffering from addiction, and there's so much judgment, from the normal society, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm not happy with myself, I guess, because I feel like I'm not doing anything positive or, constructive or moving forward. I mean, part of the reason I'm dealing with an addiction to opiate, I suppose, is because it suppresses my emotions for the most part, so it makes me numb out. And why do I want to numb out is partially because, I mean, I guess I'm an empath. I feel other people's pain. I mean, I see people suffering, even they don't have to show it, like they don't have to say it or whatever, but I can feel it, I can see it, and I can, and it, it's hard for me, because I mean, like, regardless of why those people might be suffering or like, dealing with shit, I think the bigger part of it is because it's the society or this program that we're living in. People work 9 to 5 and this and that, and like what time do they really have to find themselves, or to really connect? I feel like everything's a farce, and I don't know, I'm just, this, yeah, the last couple of weeks though, like I've been having where I'm living is not the greatest place either, so that doesn't help my situation. So like I've been trying to detox or whatever, but not necessarily wholeheartedly, I guess. But still, I go for a couple of days without using, and then my roommate, he starts, that's the universe kind of way too challenging me, right? So he starts asking me to pick up for him or whatever, or if I want to go halfers, and it's like, by me saying no to him is apparently me being giving him attitude or something. I can't remember what he said, but it's a joke, right? So it's like, it doesn't help where I'm living, you know, and I mean, it's fucked. Opiates are fucked, you know, but it's in large part, you know, like, I guess, yeah, after 2 days not using, my mind, you know, starts to really play with me, right? Like, I feel the pain, like physical aches and whatever, and, you know, sweaty. I don't really get sick as in puking or diarrhea or whatever, at least not often, but like, just, you know, being in a routine for about a year, it's like, what do I do? What do I do now, right? Like, and it's just, you know, sometimes so much easier to pick up the phone and order some dope than it is to just fucking, you know, even go buy a booster juice or something healthy for myself, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. Addiction sucks. And to me, I think that addiction is the opposite of connectedness, being connected with people, and like, I guess that goes back to what I say, like, I'm an empath, like, I feel for people, and when I'm not using, you know, in a sense, I'm more connected, and there's not a problem with that. Like, in fact, I think it's a great thing that I can tune into people and whatever, but then there's that problem that, well, like, I feel this huge yearning or longing inside of me to change, like, I want to change the world, but I feel, you know, kind of small and insignificant in a way, and so that probably leads back to my childhood or something like, and in probably just one incident that happened that, you know, stuck with me, which, you know, I think I kind of got into the root of it, but I just still haven't obviously dealt with it. So yeah, like, I mean, connectedness, right? Like, so I mean, like, I want to get connected, right? And just like I want to get high, being addicted, right? So, like, to me, the opposite of addiction is connectedness or connection. I mean, humans are hardwired for connection. Like, I mean, we absolutely are, right? From birth, right? Like, we are the only mammal that needs a parent for, like, you know, more than 2 years to actually survive. You know, no other mammal needs somebody to be connected with or for any real significant, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's other animals that maybe for 2 years or something, but, you know, so I mean, that right there shows, like, we're hardwired for connection. We need it. And, you know, being in addiction is not being connected, right? So, and, like, there's so much that I want to do, and ideas I have and whatever to like get people connected and be connected. It's just, the challenge for me, I suppose, is believing in myself and starting off small, I guess, right? You know, I guess, you know, there's another thing that goes with addiction. Addiction, you get instant gratification. So as soon as I, you know, smoke that tinfoil or whatever I do, I instantly feel the results. Whereas, you know, trying to put things together, some shit takes time, right? And I mean, that's not a problem. But it's just being committed to something, right? I don't know.
You're doing really well.
Yeah, no, I'm just going off with thought, right? Like,
are you sure you don't want to be on camera?
Not really right now, anyway.
Okay.
I'd rather, like, you know, I'm making out my face.
Totally.
Like, I love nature, and it's trippy because I went to the Chopra Addiction and Wellness Center over a year ago, and well, so when I was in the longhouse at the age of 7, the shaman named me yellow cedar, red cedar, and like so it's funny because that probably plays into some of my lack of self-worth. But so like, I mean, at the time I wanted to be, all my friends and stuff got named like, running bear, wolf, whatever, wolf and stuff, and those were the cool names, right? And I didn't learn until a couple years ago, but like to be named a cedar tree is actually like a huge honor. Like it's actually like one of the most important things in the like Salish community or whatever. It's like the tree of life, right? Like they have over 100 uses, I'm sure, for the tree. Everything from shelter to clothing and art, whatever you name it, right? Fire, heat. But anyway, so he named me, Red Cedar, and some of my friends, I wanted to play with them at the time. I think we were 7, and they're kind of laughing and said, "You can't come with us because you're a tree. You have to stand still." So when I went to Chopra Addiction and Wellness Center, they actually put me into the cedar tree room, and then my therapist there, she told me that I need to go get connected and like sit with some cedar trees, and then my massage therapist or whatever had also made reference to the cedar tree with me. So like it was pretty trippy, and the synchronicity goes even further because that longhouse where I was at, where the shaman named me the tree, actually happens to be about 2 kilometers from where the Chopra Addiction and Wellness Center is. So like, to me, that's almost like going full circle. Pretty trippy shit. So I have actually, I go and I find the cedar tree sometimes, and I put my feet into the ground, and I sit there and I meditate, and I can feel the energy. One of the best ways to actually get grounded is by putting your feet in the ground close to a tree with the roots or whatever, because the roots naturally seek water, and water is grounding, right? It's grounded. So, and I mean, like, look at here, we're in the forest or whatever, right? Like, the forest is its own ecosystem, and there's energy, like, just, it's constant in the forest, right? Like, it's life is breathing life, like, even through death. Like, the rotting trees and the leaves that fall provide life. So I find being in the forest, I can really draw in actually a lot of energy. I think, nature is where I like to be. I mean, who wants to be in the city nowadays anyway? Like, it's it's kind of gross. All these fucking Wi-Fi towers and signals going everywhere. I don't know. Okay, so a couple times, like, I've meditated in the forest, and like, so, and I'm not just meditating. I'm trying to, like, I'm trying to put the kind of like move the Kundalini through my chakras, and basically, like, I guess I would call it activation, like activating myself, or trying, in a sense, to leave my body or connect with my higher self. So when I'm meditating, and the more I get into it, I become more conscious, basically. Like, I still my mind, my thoughts aren't really coming in. Like, I'm like just the typical thought that you have, like, whatever it may be. And I find the more conscious I get, I I'd say it could be my own consciousness as well, but I start to hear voices coming from outside of myself and from nature. I believe it's nature talking to me, and sometimes the nature, some of them are kind of rooting me on and saying like, yeah, buddy, like you're doing good. You're getting closer. You can do it. And then some of them are saying, oh, he's not gonna do it. He's just gonna give up or whatever, right? So it's interesting though, because those voices that I hear them coming from outside of me, but they are thoughts that I have had myself, or that are relevant to my own consciousness. But yet they're not coming from inside my mind, or they are. I hear them coming, just like you hear the birds in the background. I hear them coming from outside of myself in the distance, but they are still like really relevant to what my consciousness, or what's going on in my head, or my subconscious, right? So it's like, as I'm getting more conscious, I guess I'm tapping into my subconscious, maybe. I believe, we are like, nature is conscious. Like it's aware of itself, and it's aware of us, and I mean, you could say, like, a tree is more conscious than the average person, right? 100%. Trees don't necessarily talk, at least not our language. Maybe not anything we could decipher, but they're definitely aware, and they're conscious. They're doing what they do. So yeah, like, I don't know, it's trippy, like the voices, right? Like what I was talking about there was when I'm meditating and hearing those voices like that. I mean, there's been other types of voices I've heard, like more particularly when I was using speed, and it was in Alberta, in Calgary. At one point, like, it was actually almost overwhelming, the amount of voices I heard, like, and the same thing, they're coming from outside of my head. But these voices, I wouldn't say were necessarily relevant to my consciousness. They were, they seem to be coming from, I don't really know,
Speed's like probably the worst for that, eh?
I've heard a lot of stories, like, connected to, people, and I question things too, like, because certain drugs are classified whatever, like, this and that, but a lot of these drugs actually seem to open something up, or like, not, I wouldn't, like, I mean, speed isn't good for you though, right? And I'm sure I know that, like, in some of the temples and wherever, they have found, like, evidence of processing of amphetamine, but that's a natural amphetamine, and, like, so I'm sure there is something in speed that actually opens up a pathway or whatever that allows us to connect to a different level of consciousness. The thing with speed is, I believe it's a lower level of consciousness, like, meaning, like, lower meaning more earthly, like, any spirit that's on the earth realm, like even the trees and whatever, it is bound to earth. So it technically is a lower level spirit, even if it's rooting for you or whatever, like, it's still, and, yeah. Now I just start thinking about judgments, right, lower level, because I don't want to knock any spirits or whatever, say they're lesser than.
Yeah.
But regardless, like, I think that's part of the reason why certain drugs that are classified or whatever. What do they, like? They say Schedule 1 or Schedule 2, right? Narcotic or whatever. And I believe it's because of some of the potential effects. Like, I mean, ayahuasca, like it's illegal technically, right? Like it may be in a ceremony type purpose or whatever, but like I've never heard of anybody being addicted to ayahuasca. I don't think you really could be. I mean, it's something where most people are probably actually like a little bit hesitant or weary to take it, even if they've already done it before. But there's a huge like spiritual purpose or whatever behind it. Like it opens you up to what's real, to reality. I don't know.
So you told me you had a plan to detoxify, maybe like a week in the woods. You want to kind of talk about that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I do have a plan, but like, I mean, the thing. Well, I mean, I think to really do it, I gotta go to Squamish, but at the same time, like, that's where I battle myself, and maybe that's my ego just like stalling me out and shit. Because then it's like, well, why can't I just do it here? Like, I have everything I need. Why can't I just fucking stay somewhere in the bush for a week and just fucking detox? I have food and I got what I need, and I can, maybe, yeah, sure, I might be closer to fucking civilization, but what difference does it make? Like, why can't I do it here? So then, there I find myself challenging myself, maybe, like, and this, I don't know, what am I stalling out? Like, why, what the fuck, man, right? But yeah, like, I've had this plan for a while though, right? You could say I've been planning it for a year, fuck, right? Which, so it's like, what the fuck is going on, man, right? I mean, ultimately, like, I tried going to detox once, and I couldn't do it. They're trying to push, like, pharmaceuticals on me, and I don't want to be, like, I don't want to fucking be on methadone or Suboxone or something and still be, like, dependent on something to, as far as the opiate receptors are concerned, right? Like, I need to be done with it. I mean, one fear I do have is, like, and it's legit, because I overdosed twice when I did last year or whatever, when I did quit. I stopped using opiates. I overdosed twice, and that's because I hadn't been using, and because fentanyl is so powerful now. Like, when your receptors aren't active or whatever, like, and you use fentanyl, like, it takes not very much at all to drop you. And it is a legitimate fear of mine, like, that I will find myself in a situation where they might not be going too good and I might turn to using. I'm grateful that I'm aware of that, like, that's a very high possibility. Like, I wasn't quite aware of it before, that my highest chance of overdose is when I'm not using. But that's no reason to stop using, right? Like, so but here I am, like, talking about my fear when I'm not even there yet, right? And there yet again feels like the ego just hanging on, right? And when I say ego hanging on too, is because, like I said, like, I'm, getting connected, like, meditating and spending time, like, spending 2-3 hours a day meditating is actually something that I know is important for me. It's the only real, like, legitimate idea or thought I got is for detoxing or getting off the dope, is to just basically isolate, like, or go where I'm not going to be influenced, or a safe place kind of thing, and just get the fuck off this shit, right?
Totally.
And like, legit, like, the sooner the better, like, it needs to be done, right? So I gotta figure that out soon too, right? Because it's like, what am I waiting for, right? Like, I got a daughter, she's 7 years old, and I haven't been in her life, and she's starting to, ask questions about me and stuff, you know, I want to be dependable or reliable in the sense, like, doesn't mean that, you know, she lives in another province, but like, you know, a phone call away is could be an important thing. And if I just get involved and then all of a sudden disappear like I tend to do, you know, that wouldn't be too cool, right? So you know, that is what happens when I'm using, is I isolate and I stop talking to people. So I don't want to hurt my daughter, you know, more than she potentially already is right now. So I mean, I'm saying that's part of the reason why I haven't, I guess, started talking to her at least. You know, and I don't know how her mom feels about that either right now. Like, her mom's rooting for me and hoping that I, you know, get my shit together. But like, you know, because she's at that age where it's like, you know, something's gotta happen. I gotta do something.
No doubt. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this. Um, Being in addiction can be frustrating, and there's a lot of fear involved. But I feel like the more we talk about it, and the more we get these problems out into the open, the better we can all be. Thank you.